The first alien ships appeared near Jupiter on a cold Tuesday morning. Admiral Haiyan Wu stood on the bridge of Sentinel-7, Earth's largest orbital defense station, watching the massive vessels emerge from nothing. They were huge, each one the size of a small city, their metal surfaces reflecting the distant sun. He had dreamed of this moment his whole life. First contact with alien life. But something felt wrong. The alien transmission came through every screen on Earth at the same time. Billions of people stopped what they were doing and watched. The creature on the screen was tall, with 4 arms and a body covered in dark plates like an insect. Its voice was translated into every human language at once. "I am Ambassador Krell of the Vorath Empire. We have ruled this part of the galaxy for 12,000 years. We have watched your species for some time. You will now join our empire. You will give us 90% of your military weapons. You will send 30% of your population to work in our mining colonies across the stars. You have no choice in this matter. This is how things are done." President G1 sat in the emergency command center deep below. Seoul, around her were the leaders of Earth's unified government. General Taeyang, the head of military operations, had his arms crossed. Dr. Subin, the scientist who had been studying alien technology from a crashed probe they found 20 years ago, was typing rapidly on her computer. "They want 3 billion of us as slaves," General Taeyang said quietly. "And they want us defenseless." President G1 looked at each person in the room. Every face showed the same thing: anger, fear, but also determination. She pressed the button to send their reply: "We refuse." The response from the Vorath came 6 hours later. This time it was not an ambassador. A different alien appeared on screens worldwide. This one wore what looked like military armor covered in symbols. Its face was harder, meaner. "I am Supreme Commander Velthorum. You have made a foolish choice. We will show you what happens when lesser species refuse the Vorath Empire. Watch and learn." The alien fleet moved. Not toward Earth, but toward New Mumbai Station. The massive orbital habitat floated in space between Earth and Mars. 10 billion humans lived there. It was humanity's greatest achievement, a city in space where people from every nation had built a new world together. There were schools and parks and homes. There were children playing in zero-gravity playgrounds. There were old people tending gardens under artificial sun. Colonel Minji was stationed on New Mumbai Station. She ran through the corridors trying to organize evacuations, but the Vorath had blocked all the ships from leaving. Her husband Jae-sung called her on the communicator. She could hear their children crying in the background. "Minji, what's happening?" "They won't let our shuttle leave." She wanted to tell him it would be okay. She wanted to lie, but she couldn't find the words. "I love you," was all she could say. "Tell the children I love them." The Vorath attack began slowly. They wanted everyone to see. Every person on Earth, on Mars, on the moon colonies, on every human station and ship was forced to watch. The aliens had taken control of all communications. You could not turn it off. You could not look away. The first weapon hit the northern section of New Mumbai Station. The explosion tore through 300 levels. 20 million people died in seconds. But the Vorath did not stop. They fired again. And again. They aimed at different sections, taking their time, making sure the station died slowly. Admiral Haiyan Wu ordered his fleet to help. Every ship that could fly rushed toward New Mumbai Station. But when they got close, the Vorath ships released some kind of energy wave. All of Earth's ships stopped working. They just floated there, dead in space, close enough to see the station being destroyed but too far to help. Haiyan Wu's sister lived on that station. Her 3 children were in school there. He watched the section where they lived tear apart like paper. The massacre lasted 6 hours. The Vorath made sure to broadcast the screams. They showed close-up images of the destruction. They showed people being sucked out into space. They showed children calling for parents who were already dead. They wanted humanity to feel every moment of it. On Earth, people watched and wept. In the command center, President G1 stood frozen, tears running down her face. But her eyes were not soft. They were hard like stone. General Taeyang stood beside her. His jaw was clenched so tight it looked like his teeth might break. Dr. Subin stared at her screen, her hands shaking. She was watching the death counts update in real time. 1 billion dead. 3 billion. 5 billion. 8 billion. The numbers kept climbing when it was over. When New Mumbai Station was nothing but debris and bodies floating in the dark, Supreme Commander Velthorum appeared on the screens again. 10 billion of your kind are dead. This is the price of your defiance. You have 30 days to accept our terms. If you refuse again, we will destroy Mars colony. Then the moon, then we will come to Earth. Every human habitat will burn until you learn to obey. Submit or die. These are your only choices. The transmission ended. For a long moment, nobody in the command center spoke. Outside, the world was silent in grief and shock. 10 billion people gone. 10 billion mothers, fathers, children, friends. Erased in a single day, President G1 turned to her council. Her face was calm now, but her voice was cold as ice. Activate Protocol Nightfall. Call everyone with security clearance level 10 or higher. We are not going to submit. She paused and looked at each of them. We are going to kill them all. Every last one of them. They want to teach us a lesson. We will teach them one instead. General Taeyang allowed himself a grim smile. Operation Alien Extinct is authorized? Yes, President G1 said. They think we are weak because we sought peace. They think we are helpless because we had no weapons. They are wrong. Show them what humanity has been building for the last 60 years. Show them what we really are. Dr. Subin pulled up files on her computer. Secret files. Files that showed hidden military bases built into asteroids. Files that showed weapons humanity had been developing in secret since they first discovered that crashed alien probe decades ago. Files that showed Earth had been preparing for this exact scenario. We have 18 days before we need to show our hand, General Taeyang said. 18 days to position our forces. Then we strike first. Admiral Hyun-woo received the encrypted message on his dead ship. Power suddenly flowed back through the systems. Not from Sentinel-7, from somewhere else. From one of those hidden bases. The message was simple. All commanders, this is President G1. They killed our families. They killed our children. They broadcast it to make us afraid. But humans do not break from fear. We break from love. And when you break something that loves, you create something terrible. You create something that will not stop until everything you are is ash. Prepare for war. Not a war to survive, a war to extinct. We will not rest until the Vorath Empire is a memory and a warning to the galaxy. Hyun-woo looked out at the debris field that had been New Mumbai Station. Somewhere in that darkness was his sister, his nieces and nephews. 10 billion people who had died because aliens thought humans were weak. He opened the fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Admiral Hyun-woo. We could not save them, but we will avenge them. Every single one. Prepare to receive new orders. We are going hunting. In the cold dark of space, the debris of New Mumbai Station drifted silently. But all across human space, in hidden bases and secret shipyards, something was waking up. Something that had been waiting. Something built for a war that everyone hoped would never come. The Vorath Empire had 10 billion humans die. Soon they would learn the cost of that mistake. Soon they would learn that humanity's greatest strength was not their love of peace. It was their capacity for absolute vengeance when that peace was broken. The world mourned for 3 days. Every city held vigils. Every home had candles in the windows. 10 billion names were read aloud on every news channel. It took 72 hours just to say all their names. But while Earth wept, its leaders worked. President G1 stood in a room that did not officially exist. It was carved into a mountain 5 kilometers below the surface. Only 12 people in the entire world knew about this place. Now those 12 stood around a table looking at plans that had been secret for 60 years. Project Revenant, Dr. Subin said, pulling up holographic displays. We started building it in 2043 after we found the crashed probe. We knew someday we might meet aliens. We hoped they would be friendly, but we prepared in case they were not. The display showed the solar system, but not the one people knew. This version had red dots scattered throughout. Hundreds of them. Each one was a hidden base built into an asteroid or carved into a moon. Each one contained weapons and ships that had never been seen by any civilian. How did we hide this? Asked General Taeyang, though he already knew the answer. He had helped build it. Money from black budgets, resources from mining operations that officially failed, scientists who officially retired, engineers who officially died. For 60 years, we took our best people and our best technology, and we hid it. We built an entire second military that nobody knew existed. President G1 touched one of the red dots near Pluto. The display zoomed in to show a massive shipyard built inside a hollowed-out dwarf planet. Dozens of ships floated in the darkness, powered down, waiting. The Vorath think they destroyed our military when they disabled our defense fleet. They think we are helpless. They have no idea what we really have. General Taeyang pulled up another file. Commander Ba'ura has been undercover in neutral space for 5 years. She has been studying the Vorath, learning their tactics, finding their weaknesses. She sent us this report 2 days ago. The report was detailed. It showed how the Vorath Empire worked. They had 300 alien species under their control, but most of them hated the Vorath. The Empire stayed together through fear and through technology, specifically through something called the Nexus. The Nexus is a quantum communication network, Dr. Subin explained. It lets them talk instantly across light years. Every Vorath ship, every station, every colony is connected to it. It is how they coordinate their empire. Without it, they would be scattered and blind. So we destroy it, President Ji-won said simply. There are 3 main relay stations. One at Keval Station, their regional command center. One at the Anvil, their military shipyard. And one on their homeworld. If we take out all 3, their entire empire loses coordination. General Taeyang smiled coldly. They will be like a body with no nervous system. Arms and legs that cannot talk to the brain. President G1 looked at each person in the room. We have 18 days before they expect our surrender. We will use that time to position our forces. Then we will not surrender. We will attack. We will hit all 3 targets at once. And we will not stop until the Vorath Empire is extinct. Far away in the Kuiper Belt, Admiral Hyun-woo arrived at the hidden shipyard. He had traveled there on a supply ship, following coordinates that had been sent in an encrypted message. When he saw what waited there, he understood why Earth had stayed confident, the Ghost Fleet, 300 warships that officially did not exist. They were not like Earth's defense fleet that the Vorath had disabled. These ships had technology that Dr. Subin had developed from studying the alien probe. They had quantum drives that could jump through space in ways the Vorath could not predict. They had weapons that could punch through shields the aliens thought were invincible. Chief Engineer Young-soo gave Hyun-woo the tour. Each ship has an AI that can think faster than Vorath computers. We tested them in simulations against every known alien tactic. They won 98% of the time. What about the other 2%? Those were situations where we were outnumbered 100 to 1. Even then, we took most of them with us. Hyun-woo walked through the flagship. It was called the Revenant. He read the inscription on the wall near the bridge. It was a quote from an old Earth general. In war, there is no substitute for victory. We are ready, Young-soo said. We have been ready for decades. We just needed a reason to wake up. Hyun-woo thought of his sister, of his nieces and nephews, of the 10 billion people the Vorath had murdered. We have a reason now. On a trading station in neutral space, Commander Bo-ra received her activation code. She had been pretending to be a merchant for 5 years, slowly building contacts and gathering information. Now she would lead the first strike. She assembled her team. Kyung-soo was an expert in explosives. Eun-ji could infiltrate anywhere. her face and body modified to look like several different alien species. Sung-ho was a medic, but he could also fight better than most soldiers. "Our target is Keval Station," Beorat told them. "It orbits their industrial world. 20 million Vorath live there. They think they are safe. They think they are untouchable. We are going to prove them wrong." The team left the next day on a slave transport ship. They posed as human prisoners being delivered to the mining colonies. The Vorath guards did not look at them twice. Humans were beneath notice now. That would be their mistake. While Bo traveled to Keval Station, another team prepared for the anvil. Pilot Haewon and her squadron were the best of the best. They flew ships called Wraiths, small fighters that could become nearly invisible. The anvil was where the Vorath built their massive warships. It was protected by 300 defense platforms and a fleet of 500 ships. It took them 200 years to build that shipyard, Haewon told her pilots. "We are going to destroy it in 4 hours." Her pilots were young, most of them in their 20s, but they all had the same look in their eyes. Every one of them had lost someone at New Mumbai Station. They were not fighting for glory or honor. They were fighting for revenge. Captain Junho commanded the destroyer Vengeance. It was one of the Ghost Fleet's most powerful ships. He had been transferred from Earth's regular navy 3 days ago. When he asked why, General Taeyang had simply said, "Because we need someone who understands that this is not a war for territory or resources. This is a war of extinction." Junho understood perfectly. His daughter had been visiting New Mumbai Station on a school trip. She was 8 years old. She liked to draw pictures of stars. The Vorath had turned her into ash and vapor. Now he stood on the bridge of the Vengeance and looked at his crew. "When we engage the enemy, there will be no mercy. There will be no prisoners. There will be no surrender. We will kill them all. Every ship, every station, every Vorath we find. This is not a battle. This is extermination." His crew responded with grim approval. They were all volunteers. They all had lost someone. They all wanted the same thing. Back on Earth, President G1 made a broadcast to the world. It was not public. It went only to military personnel and government officials with high clearance. She stood in front of a camera and spoke calmly. "Our enemy thinks we are broken. They think we will surrender. They are wrong. For 60 years, we have prepared for hostile first contact. We hoped it would never come. But we were not foolish enough to believe it would never come. Now the Vorath Empire will learn what humanity truly is. We are not prey. We are not slaves. We are the species that conquered our own world. We are the species that survived ice ages and plagues and wars. We are the species that split the atom and touched the stars. And now we are the species that will show the galaxy what happens when you murder our children." She paused and her voice became harder. "In 18 days we strike. We will hit them where they think they are strongest. We will destroy their communication network. We will shatter their fleets. We will burn their worlds. And we will not stop until the name Vorath is spoken only as a warning to other species. A warning about what happens when you mistake human mercy for weakness." Across human space, soldiers and pilots and engineers received the message. They powered up ships that had been sleeping for decades. They activated weapons that had never been fired. They prepared for a war that would either save humanity or end it. Dr. Subin worked day and night in her laboratory. She was building something special for the third Nexus relay, the one on the Vorath homeworld. It was not just a bomb. It was a virus, a digital plague that would spread through their entire network. She called it Cascade. When activated, it would not just destroy the Nexus, it would corrupt it. It would turn the Vorath's own technology against them. Their ships would fire on each other. Their defense systems would attack their own stations. It would be chaos and death spreading through their empire like wildfire. "How long will it take to work?" General Taeyang asked. "Once uploaded to the core on their homeworld, it will spread to every connected system in about 4 hours. After that, the Vorath Empire will tear itself apart. And the team that uploads it?" Dr. Subin looked at him sadly. They will not make it out. The Vorath homeworld is too heavily defended. This is a one-way mission. General Taeyong nodded slowly. I will ask for volunteers. He did not need to ask. When he posted the mission parameters, 2,000 people volunteered in the first hour. They all knew it was suicide. Commander Bilra arrived at Kval Station wearing a slave collar. Her skin had been darkened and her features slightly altered to look like she had been working in mines for months. The Vorath guards barely looked at her as she and her team were marched off the transport ship with 200 other human prisoners. The station was enormous. It orbited a planet covered in factories and refineries. 20 million Vorath lived here, managing the industrial production for an entire sector of their empire. At the center of the station was the Nexus Relay, a massive tower of alien technology that hummed with quantum energy. Biora and her team were assigned to waste processing on level 47. It was exactly where they wanted to be. The waste systems connected to maintenance tunnels that ran throughout the station. The Vorath had not bothered with heavy security in these areas. Humans were weak. Humans were defeated. Humans could not possibly threaten them. That was their first mistake. On the third night, Biora's team disappeared into the tunnels. Kyung-Soo led them through the dark passages, his scanner showing the way. They moved in silence, years of training making them invisible even to the station's sensors. Eunji had hacked the security systems remotely. Creating blind spots in the surveillance, they planted quantum disruptors in 12 locations around the Nexus Relay. The devices were small, each one about the size of a fist. Dr. Subin had designed them specifically to resonate with the Nexus frequency. When activated, they would cause a feedback loop that would tear the relay apart from the inside, but they needed data first. The Aura split from the team and made her way to the station's military archive. This was the dangerous part. The archive was guarded and monitored. She would have to move fast. She used a stolen access card from a Vorath officer she had killed quietly 2 days ago. The door opened. She slipped inside and plugged her data device into the system. Files began downloading, fleet positions, command codes, tactical doctrines. Everything Earth needed to understand how the Vorath military really worked. An alarm shrieked. A Vorath security officer had noticed something wrong. Leora yanked the data device free and ran. Behind her, she could hear heavy footsteps and alien voices shouting. She turned a corner and came face to face with 3 Vorath soldiers. Her gun was in her hand instantly. 3 shots, 3 bodies falling, but more were coming. She ran toward the rendezvous point, activating her communicator. Kyung-Soo, blow it now. We have 2 more disruptors to plant. Do it now. Kyung-Soo did not argue. He activated the disruptors. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The Nexus relay began to vibrate, then scream with energy feedback. Explosions rippled through its structure. The relay tower tore itself apart in a cascade of quantum destruction. Boara was thrown off her feet by the blast wave. She scrambled up and kept running. Her team was waiting at the emergency airlocks, all except Sung-ho. The medic had stayed behind to hold off the guards chasing them. Where is he? Eunji demanded. He is buying us time. Get to the ship. They ran. Behind them, Kval Station was dying. The Nexus relay explosion had damaged the reactor systems. Secondary explosions were tearing through multiple levels. Thousands of Vorath were evacuating in panic. Biora's team reached their hidden ship and launched. As they accelerated away from the station, Biora looked back. She could see Sung-ho's life sign on her scanner. It was not moving. Then it disappeared. She closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them hard as steel. 1 down. 2 to go. Set course for the rendezvous point. The explosion of Kval Station's Nexus relay sent shockwaves through Vorath space. 40 star systems that relied on that relay for communication suddenly went dark. Fleet commanders could not coordinate. Stations could not call for help. Chaos spread like a virus. And in that chaos, Admiral Heinwu's ghost fleet struck. The Anvil shipyard hung in space like a massive metal spider. It was 300 kilometers across, a construction facility that had built Vorath warships for 2 centuries. 500 ships guarded it. 300 defense platforms surrounded it. The Vorath considered it completely secure. Hyun-Woo's fleet emerged from Quantum Jump on the edge of the system. 300 ships against 800. By normal logic, they should have been destroyed. But Hyun-Woo was not using normal logic. Launch Wraith Squadron. Target the defense platforms only. Do not engage the ships. Pilot Haewon and her squadron of 30 fighters phased into near invisibility and streaked toward the anvil. The Vorath sensors barely detected them. By the time the enemy realized they were under attack, 12 defense platforms were already exploding. The Vorath fleet moved to engage, but they were confused. They had lost contact with Kval Station. They had no communication with other systems. They did not know if this was a local attack or part of something bigger. They found out quickly. The Ghost fleet opened fire with weapons the Vorath had never seen before. Antimatter torpedoes that detonated with the force of small stars. Focused. Plasma beams that cut through shields like they were paper. Rail guns that fired projectiles at relativistic speeds. Captain Junho's destroyer Vengeance led the assault. His ship cut through the Vorath defensive line, weapons blazing. He targeted command ships first, the ones trying to organize the defense. Without the Nexus, the Vorath had to rely on standard radio communication. It was slow and easy to jam. All ships, concentrate fire on the shipyard reactors. We are not here to fight their fleet. We are here to destroy the anvil. The Ghost fleet ignored the Vorath warships and went straight for the shipyard. Haewon's Wraith squadron hit the reactor cores with surgical precision. Massive explosions bloomed across the structure. The anvil had been building 30 dreadnoughts. Now those half-finished ships exploded in their construction berths. The Vorath fleet tried to stop them, but Earth's ships were too fast and too advanced. The Ghost fleet's AI systems predicted every Vorath tactic and countered it instantly. Ships that had been hidden and silent for decades now showed what they could really do. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it was over, the anvil was debris. 300 Vorath vessels under construction were destroyed. The shipyard that had taken 2 centuries to build was gone, and the Vorath fleet that had defended it was shattered. Captain Junho watched the wreckage on his screen. He thought of his daughter, of her drawings of stars. He allowed himself a cold smile. For New Mumbai, one step closer to extinction. On the Vorath homeworld, Emperor Thulvex received the reports with disbelief. 2 major facilities destroyed in a single day. 40 systems dark, thousands of ships lost. How was this possible? The humans had been defeated. Their military had been disabled. "Find me Supreme Commander Velthorum," he ordered. Velthorum arrived in the throne room looking shaken. The Supreme Commander who had ordered the massacre at New Mumbai Station was no longer confident. He had seen the tactical reports. He had seen what the human ships could do. "My Emperor, we underestimated them. They have technology we did not know about. They have weapons that should not be possible. And they are not fighting to defend. They are fighting to destroy. Then mobilize the Grand Armada, all 10,000 ships. We will crush Earth and burn it to ash." Velthorum hesitated. "My Emperor, I recommend caution. We should fortify our core systems, and are you afraid of them?" Thulvex's voice was cold. "I am concerned, my Emperor. These humans are not acting like a defeated species. They are acting like—" He paused. "Like what?" "Like hunters who have found prey." Emperor Thulvex struck Velthorum across the face. "They are primitives. They are insects. Mobilize the Armada now. We will show them what true power looks like." The Grand Armada began to assemble. 10,000 warships, the largest military force the Vorath Empire had ever gathered. Their destination was Earth's solar system. They would arrive in 15 days and they would destroy everything, but they did not know about the third strike. They did not know about the team heading to their homeworld. They did not know about Cascade. Back on Earth, President G1 received the reports from the first 2 strikes. Both successful, Kval Station destroyed. The anvil destroyed, 1 operative lost. She read Sungho's name and bowed her head for a moment. "The Vorath are mobilizing their main fleet," General Taeyang reported. 10,000 ships heading to Earth. Let them come, Jaewon said calmly. By the time they arrive, they will have no empire to return to. Is Sangwoo's team in position? They reach Vorath Prime in 3 days. Once they upload Cascade, it will be over. President Ji-won looked at the star map showing the Vorath Empire, 300 species enslaved. 12,000 years of conquest and cruelty. Soon it would all be ash. They killed 10 billion of our people to teach us fear, she said quietly. We will kill their entire empire to teach the galaxy something else. We will teach them that humanity does not fear. We remember and we repay in full. Admiral Hyenwoo's Ghost Fleet began moving toward their next target. They would shadow the Grand Armada, staying just out of sensor range. When Cascade activated and the Vorath fleet fell into chaos, they would strike. They would destroy every single ship. Commander Biora's team jumped to the next system, hunting for more Vorath command stations. They would hit 6 more before the final phase. Pilot Haewon and her squadron repaired and rearmed. Sangwoo's team approached Vorath Prime hidden inside a captured cargo ship. The homeworld of the Vorath Empire hung before them like a dark jewel. 300 defense satellites orbited the planet. 50,000 ships patrolled the system. The Imperial Palace sat at the heart of the capital city, protected by shields that could withstand nuclear weapons, but they did not need to attack the palace. They needed to reach what was beneath it. The Nexus Core, the heart of the quantum communication network that controlled the entire empire. It was buried 5 kilometers underground, accessible only through the palace's maintenance systems. How do we get in? Asked Kite, checking his weapons for the 10th time. He was the team's combat specialist, a soldier who had lost his wife and children at New Mumbai Station. His hands were steady, but his eyes burned with cold rage. Through the waste tunnels, said Haejin, the linguist. She had learned to speak 7 Vorath dialects by studying intercepted communications. The palace produces waste that gets transported to processing plants outside the city. The tunnels are guarded, but not heavily. They do not think anyone would be crazy enough to try this. They are right, said another team member, a young engineer named Dal. We are definitely crazy. Sangwoo allowed himself a slight smile. We are not crazy. We are committed. There is a difference. The cargo ship landed at a civilian port. The Vorath customs officers barely glanced at their forged documents. Humans were common in the Empire now, mostly slaves working in various industries. The team split up and made their way to different entry points around the capital city. Sangwoo and Haejin entered through a market district. They wore clothes that made them look like servants for a wealthy Vorath merchant. Kite and Dal entered through a factory complex where human slaves worked making components for Vorath technology. The other 2 team members took different routes. They converged at the waste processing plant on the city's edge 3 hours later. The facility was loud and smelled terrible. Perfect cover. The guards here were low-ranking, bored with their assignment. Haejin approached one of them speaking perfect Vorath. Excuse me, honored guard. Our supervisor sent us to check the tunnel seals in Section 7. There's been a pressure drop? The guard looked at them with 4 cold eyes. For a moment, Sangwoo thought they were caught. Then the guard just waved them through. Maintenance Tunnel 3? Do not take too long. And do not touch anything except the seals. They walked calmly into the tunnel until they were out of sight. Then they ran. The tunnel stretched for kilometers, heading directly toward the palace. They moved in silence, their equipment muffled. Their footsteps careful. It took 6 hours to reach the palace sublevels. 6 hours of crawling through narrow passages, avoiding security sensors, bypassing locked doors. Haejin's knowledge of Vorath systems and Dal's engineering skills got them through barriers that should have been impossible. Finally, they stood before the entrance to the Nexus core chamber. The door was massive, made of some metal that did not exist on Earth. It was locked with quantum encryption that would take a supercomputer years to crack. Dal pulled out a small device Dr. Subin had given him. This will work, right? It should create a quantum resonance pattern that matches the lock frequency. Should take about 20 minutes? We might not have 20 minutes, Kite said, his weapon raised. Covering the corridor behind them, they had 15 minutes before the first patrol found them. Kite dropped 3 Vorth guards before they could raise an alarm, but the sound of gunfire echoed through the passage. More would come. How long? Sang-Woo asked, keeping his voice calm. 10 more minutes, Dal said, sweat dripping down his face. We do not have 10 minutes, Kite said. He could hear heavy footsteps approaching. Lots of them, then we buy time. Sang-Woo raised his weapon and moved to join Kite. Haijin did the same. The other 2 team members took positions on either side of the corridor. The Vorth came in force. Palace guards, heavily armored and well-trained. They filled the corridor with weapons fire. Sang-Woo's team fired back, using the narrow passage to their advantage. The Vorth could not bring all their numbers to bear at once, but they did not need to. They just needed to wait for the humans to run out of ammunition. And the humans would run out. Everyone knew it. Dal worked frantically on the lock while his teammates fought and died around him. The first to fall was Jin, taking 3 plasma bolts to the chest while covering the right flank. Then Hana, who held off a flanking force until they overwhelmed her position. 5 minutes, Dal shouted over the sound of weapons fire. Ki-Tae took a hit to the shoulder but kept firing. We will hold. Haijin fired in controlled bursts, making every shot count. She had been a linguist before this. She had studied alien cultures because she loved learning about other species. Now she was killing them. Strange how the world changed. The door clicked. The quantum lock disengaged. We are in. Dal shouted, "Go!" Ki-Tae ordered. Sang-Woo, get inside and upload Cascade. We will hold here. Sang-Woo and Dal ran through the door. Behind them, they heard Kite and Haijin still fighting. The door was too damaged to close. The Vorath would be coming through in moments. The Nexus core chamber was beautiful in a terrifying way. A sphere of pure energy 30 meters across, humming with quantum frequencies that made Sang-Woo's teeth ache. Streams of data flowed through it like rivers of light. This was the brain of the Empire. This was what held 300 species in chains. How do I interface with it? Sang-Woo asked. There. Dal pointed to a console. But Sang-Woo, the upload will take 12 minutes. And the energy discharge when Cascade activates will kill anyone in this room. I know. Sang-Woo pulled out the data device containing Cascade, Dr. Subin's masterpiece. A digital virus that would turn the Empire's own technology against it. Get out of here, Dal. Tell them we succeeded. I am not leaving you. That is an order. Someone needs to confirm the mission. Someone needs to tell Earth that we did it. That we avenged them. Dal wanted to argue, but he could hear the fighting in the corridor getting closer. Kite and Haijin were still holding, but they would not hold much longer. He gripped Sang-Woo's shoulder once, then ran back toward the door. He found Kite bleeding from multiple wounds but still firing. Haijin was down, not moving. Kite looked at Dal and smiled grimly. Did he start the upload? Yes, 12 minutes. Then go. I will give you 12 minutes. Kite pushed Dal toward a maintenance shaft. There is a service exit 30 meters that way. Go now, Dal ran. Behind him, he heard Kite's weapon firing steadily and then stopping. He did not look back. Sang-Woo plugged the device into the console. The upload began. He watched the progress bar crawl forward. 1%. 2%. Behind him, he could hear Vorth soldiers entering the chamber. He turned and fired his weapon, dropping 2 of them. More came. He fired until his weapon was empty, then drew his sidearm. The progress bar reached 20%. A plasma bolt hit him in the leg. He fell but kept firing. 40%. The Vorth charged his position. He killed 3 more before they overwhelmed him. They beat him down, weapons raised to execute him. But Sang-Woo was smiling. The progress bar reached 60%. You are too late, he said in Vorath language. It is already done. The commander looked at the console and saw the upload. He screamed for technicians to stop it. They ran to the console but could not interrupt the process. Cascade had locked them out, 80%. The Vorath commander shot Sangwoo in the chest. But Sangwoo kept smiling, blood bubbling from his lips. 90%. This is for New Mumbai, he whispered. This is for 10 billion people you murdered. This is for my daughter who died screaming your name. 100%. Upload complete. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Nexus core began to pulse with a different rhythm. The light inside it changed from white to red. Alarms screamed throughout the palace. Cascade was active, and it was spreading across the Vorath homeworld. Computer systems began malfunctioning. Defense satellites received false targeting data and fired on Vorath ships. Power grids overloaded. Communication networks broadcast random noise. The Nexus, the Empire's greatest strength, became its greatest weakness, and it spread. Through quantum communication, Cascade jumped from system to system. Every Vorath ship, every station, every colony connected to the Nexus became infected. In the span of 4 hours, the entire Empire's technology turned against itself. The Grand Armada, heading toward Earth, suddenly lost all navigation. Ships collided in slipspace. Weapon systems activated randomly, firing on nearby vessels. 10,000 ships became a floating graveyard as they destroyed each other in cascading accidents and friendly fire. Admiral Hyungwoo's Ghost Fleet, which had been shadowing the Armada, watched in amazement as the massive force tore itself apart. He had expected to fight a battle. Instead, he got to witness a massacre. Target the survivors, he ordered. No mercy. No prisoners. The Ghost Fleet moved in. Of the 10,000 ships in the Grand Armada, fewer than 300 survived Cascade's initial effect. Hyungwoo's forces destroyed them all. It took 6 hours. When it was done, the largest military force the Vorath had ever assembled was debris and corpses. The Vorath Empire collapsed in days. 300 enslaved species rose up across the galaxy. When they realized their masters could no longer coordinate or defend themselves, worlds that had been held in chains for centuries suddenly found themselves free. And they were angry, but Earth did not let chaos rule. President G1 had planned for this moment. She deployed liberation forces to every former Vorath colony, not to conquer but to establish order and help the freed species. Commander Biora, promoted to general after her success at Kaval Station, led the coordination efforts. We are not here to take what the Vorath had, she told the representatives of the freed species. We are here to make sure no one ever does what they did again. You are free, but we will help you stay free. Some species welcomed Earth's help. Others were suspicious. But all of them agreed on one thing. The Vorath needed to answer for 12,000 years of slavery, conquest, and murder. And humanity was prepared to deliver that justice. The hunt began. Every Vorath colony was identified. Every Vorath fleet position was tracked. Every Vorath government official was located. Earth's forces moved systematically through the former empire. Not to occupy, but to eliminate. Admiral Hyungwoo led the fleet actions. After destroying the Grand Armada, his Ghost Fleet split into hunter groups. They pursued surviving Vorath warships, tracking them down one by one. There was no negotiation. No surrender accepted. Every Vorath military vessel was destroyed, its crew given no chance to escape. Some called it a war crime. Admiral Hyungwoo called it justice. They broadcast the deaths of 10 billion humans to teach us fear. We will broadcast the extinction of their military to teach the galaxy something else. We will teach them that there are consequences for genocide. Captain Junho and the Vengeance hunted a Vorath admiral who had participated in the New Mumbai massacre. They tracked him to a remote system where he was trying to rally surviving forces. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it was over, Junho ordered every escape pod destroyed. No survivors. No mercy for my daughter, he said as he watched the last pod explode. For every child they killed? On Vorath Prime, the situation deteriorated rapidly. The planet that had ruled an empire for 12,000 years was dying. Cascade had corrupted every system. Power plants were exploding. Food production had stopped. Millions of Vorath were starving in the streets. Emperor Thulvex, who had ruled for 400 years, watched his empire crumble from his palace. He sent message after message to Earth, offering surrender, offering reparations, begging for mercy. President G1 responded to exactly one of his messages. You had 30 days to give us terms. You gave us death. You murdered 10 billion of our people on live broadcast. You thought it would break us? Instead, you woke something that should have stayed sleeping. Now you will learn what humanity does to those who murder our children. There will be no mercy. There will be no surrender. There will be only extinction. She traveled to Vorath Prime herself aboard the flagship Retribution. The planet was under siege, surrounded by Earth's fleet and rebel forces from dozens of liberated species. Some of those species had suffered under Vorath rule for thousands of years. They wanted their own justice, but Earth had earned the right to deliver final judgment. It was Earth that had been attacked. It was Earth that had lost 10 billion souls. It was Earth that had destroyed the Empire. The freed species respected that. They would get their justice. But Earth would go first. President G1 landed at the Imperial Palace with a security force of 100 Marines. General Taeyang accompanied her. So did Dr. Subin, who wanted to see the results of her work. They walked through halls where Vorath emperors had ruled for millennia. Now those halls were empty except for a handful of guards who surrendered immediately. They found Emperor Thulvex in his throne room. The ancient ruler looked small now, diminished. His armor was dull. His forearms trembled slightly. He was afraid. I offer complete surrender, he said in broken English. We will pay any reparations. We will accept any terms. Please, show mercy. President G1 looked at him without expression. You broadcast the murder of 10 billion humans. You made sure every human in existence watched our people die. You wanted us to feel terror. Did you think we would forget? It was a mistake. A terrible mistake. We will make amends. There are no amends for genocide, Emperor. You killed our children to teach us obedience. We will kill your empire to teach the galaxy something else. We will teach them that humanity remembers, that humanity repays, that humanity does not forgive. But mercy, where was your mercy when our children screamed? General Taeyang asked. Where was your mercy during 6 hours of broadcast slaughter? Where was your mercy when you gave us 30 days to become your slaves? Emperor Thulvex fell to his knees. Please, I am begging you. Dr. Subin spoke quietly. You know what I designed Cascade to do? It does not just corrupt your systems. It learns. Right now, it is spreading through every piece of Vorath technology in the galaxy. In 3 days, every ship, every station, every device will stop working. Your species will be Stone Age again. But that is not enough. President G1 turned to her Marines. Take him to the prison ship. He will stand trial with the rest of the Vorath leadership. The freed species will have their say. Then we will execute them all. The Emperor was dragged away, still begging. G1 looked at Taeyang and Subin. Give the order. All Vorath military and government personnel are to be hunted down. All Vorath colonies are to be evacuated. Then we burn every world they controlled. All of them? Taeyang asked. Even the homeworld? Especially the homeworld. We will leave nothing. Future species will find the ruins and wonder what could have made humanity do this. And they will learn. They will learn never to harm our children. The evacuation of Vorath Prime took 48 hours. Civilian Vorath were transported to refugee camps on barren moons, given basic supplies but nothing else. The Vorath who had been government or military were separated and imprisoned. There would be trials, but the outcome was already decided. Death, every single one. When the evacuation was complete, Earth's fleet took position. President G1 gave the order herself. Begin atmospheric bombardment. Render it uninhabitable. Weapons fire rained down from orbit. Not to destroy the planet, but to poison it. Chemical and biological weapons that would make the atmosphere toxic for 10,000 years. The cities that had stood for millennia were left standing, but nothing could live in them now. Vorath Prime became a tomb, a memorial to an extinct empire. They did the same to every major Vorath world. Hundreds of planets rendered uninhabitable. The freed species watched in awe and terror. Earth was not just defeating the Vorath. Earth was erasing them from existence. Admiral Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched Vorath Prime die. He thought of his sister, of his nieces and nephews, of the 10 billion people murdered at New Mumbai. Is it enough? He asked quietly. Captain Junho, standing beside him, shook his head. It will never be enough. But it is what we can do. We cannot bring them back. But we can make sure the Vorath never harm anyone again. The trials began 3 months after Cascade activated. Representatives from 300 liberated species came to bear witness. The accused included Emperor Thulvex, Supreme Commander Velthorum, and every Vorath official who had participated in the Empire's crimes. The proceedings were broadcast across the galaxy, just as the Vorath had broadcast New Mumbai's destruction. But this time it was justice being shown, not murder. Each species was given time to present evidence of their suffering. Stories of slavery, of families torn apart, of worlds conquered and cultures destroyed. The Vorath defendants tried to argue they were just following orders, that it was their culture, that they were simply doing what empires do. President G1 presided over the trials. Her response was simple. Following orders is not an excuse for genocide. Culture is not an excuse for slavery. An empire is not an excuse for murder. You will all be found guilty. You will all be executed. And your species will never rise again. The executions took 3 weeks. 50,000 Vorath officials and military officers. Each execution was broadcast. Each name was read along with their crimes. The galaxy watched as humanity delivered justice. Some species called it excessive. Some called it revenge. President G1 called it necessary. We tried peace first, she said in an address to the liberated species. We would have welcomed the Vorath as friends. But they chose violence. They chose genocide. And now they have learned the price. Let this be a lesson to the galaxy. Humanity will always seek peace first. But if you harm us, if you murder our children, we will not stop until you are extinct. This is not a threat. This is a promise. 3 years after the New Mumbai massacre, the Vorath Empire was gone. Their species survived only in small refugee populations, scattered across barren worlds, stripped of technology, monitored constantly. They would never threaten anyone again. Earth emerged as the dominant power in the region. President G1 established the Terran Concord, a federation of free species based on mutual defense and cooperation. Species joined voluntarily, attracted by Earth's protection and the promise that no empire would ever enslave them again.